Hello everyone and welcome along to a special World Pool preview of the third day of the Ebor Festival, live from York. Some fantastic racing that's been and gone, but also some brilliant races still to come on day 3, the Friday. John Blance and Graham Cunningham once again alongside, although virtually on this occasion. And we're looking forward to the first race, which you'll be familiar with the course layout by now. Is a 2,400 metre handicap. It's a heritage handicap. It's attracted a field of 13 and some good runners at that. Just to rattle through, there is your course map, just to rattle through a few of the runners. William Dewitt, the champion jockey, will be aboard the top horse in the race, Track of Time. You go down to the likes of Shadow Dance, Yukon Glen we'll be talking about, Lieber Power, Law of the Sea, Mr. Monaco, Dark Moon Rising, Derry Lad, and down to quite an interesting runner, it's fair to say, in the Wathman Silks. This is Waffe under Billy the Kid, Graham Cunningham, Lochnan. Will bid to go one better than Goodwood last time.
Yes, you will. Hi, Nick. Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Yeah, the horse is bound to attract lots and lots of attention because he's very well bred. He's lightly raced, and he comes to York on the back of a personal best. People will take this in two different ways. Some will say he was poorly positioned. That's possible. I just have the feeling he might be slightly tricky. Look at him there. Look at the way he just ducks out before he runs on. And he does run on strongly in the end, and he gets close to assailant. So here's a horse who's top connections, good pedigree, seems to be on the up. Why don't I like him? Because I just thought he jibbed before he ran on strongly. And at a shortish price, I'm going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, he was green, certainly in the run. And 3-year-olds don't have a particularly good record in this race. They haven't really tried at a particularly large scale. He's going to go in the numbers for me. Gate 10 is going to be a little bit tricky as well. But he certainly finished off that race in eye-catching fashion.
John Blood, hello. He is one of the joint youngest in the race. You've mentioned his age already. What about from one extreme to the other? And good old Yukon Glen, who seems to have been an 11-year-old for years. He could give Align the Stars a bit of a form boost ahead of the Lonsdale Cup later in the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was a real active finish. There were a whole host of horses getting involved. They went quick, then they slowed down, then they went quick again. Yukon Glen's record, he's been 4th in an Ebor, 5th in an Ebor, 7th in an Ebor, 3rd over 2 miles here as well. Obviously, 2,400 metres is a little bit of a question mark at this stage of his career, but there's a strong pace guaranteed here. His York form is really, really good. I think he's a definite one to consider for the numbers, Graham.
Yeah, agreed. He's a ridiculously sprightly 11-year-old, and he keeps running well. And he's got good York form. So if you're looking for a horse at a price and an age to run well, he could be the one.
Yeah, we're always guilty of trying to find the next fashionable thing or the next sort of buzzy, attractive opposition. But Yukon Glen does tend to run his races. Graham, Mr. Monaco seems to be coming to the boil quite nicely. Sandown was good last time.
Yeah, he's only had 7 runs, so could well be a little more to come. I think there needs to be. This was him last time, toughing it out at Sandown. He's uncomplicated. He wins by 4 lengths here. He didn't look likely to win by 4 lengths at this point. And I think he might be slightly flattered by that wide margin. And he's up £7. So I'm not going to make a strong case for him. He's in good form, but I think he needs to be better than he was at Sandown to win at York.
Yeah, I think he will need to do that. But this was a pretty good effort. It was a solid gallop the whole way. He was taken on for a bit by a rather errant horse there who came right across the track too. So I think it was a pretty good effort. This is definitely a step up in class. But again, the 3-year-old allowance might help here. So Mr. Monaco goes in my numbers.
Okay, it's a nice race to start the day. They're all pretty good races at York. Graham, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4 looking like?
Well, this comes with a slight proviso that number 3, Shadow Dance, could also be in line for Saturday's Ebor handicap. But he's declared at the 48-hour stage for Friday's race at York, the opener, and he's an interesting horse. He was really progressive last autumn, very good form at Haydock and at Newmarket, and he came back with a very solid performance after a blip at Ascot to run a really good second at Ripon in what I think is a strong form race. If he runs, I think he's a major chance. 3, Shadow Dance. 2, Insanity, has just improved recently. Comes here on the back of an excellent game performance in the Shergar Cup at Ascot. 10, Dark Moon Rising, has good York form. And 4, Yukon Glen to pick up a few pieces again. But if he comes to York, number 3, Shadow Dance, is a major player.
Yeah, I like that. Very good, Graham, because he's tied in with your old mate Iron Lion as well. So another mention of that fella in the show. John, what about you?
Well, I've gone for a horse called Derry Lad, Irish trained, who ran a really good race at Epsom on Oaks Day. Eye-catching finish to that race there on that occasion. Ran at Galway at the Galway Festival last time out. Was back and wide in a run, and it's not easy to close off at Galway. I mean, it was a bad run in some respects, but then again, there are excuses for it. He can toss it out. I think a strong run here, or strong pace here, from a decent draw in stall 3. I think he can go quite well, Derry Lad. Mr. Monaco in there for second. You can Glen for third, and Wafi in there for fourth. So I'm going 11, 9, 4, and 13.
Graham mentioned mine, and that's a horse I'm going to take a chance on. It was well beaten in the race last year, but that by no means is the limit of his ability. It's Dark Moon Rising, horse number 10, who's won here before. Trained locally, and I hope wins the first race on Friday. Best of luck, whatever you're going for. Second race on the day, this big World Pool Day Friday at York, is the Stayers race, the quality Stayers race of the meeting as well. It is the Weatherby's Hamilton Lonsdale Cup. It's a Group 2 race run over north of 3,200 metres as well. So they're going to get a good look at all different corners of York's pretty famous track. These are the runners for it. They're headed up by Al Nair, who's got an interesting backstory. Very good in the Middle East, that horse, now trained by Tom Clover. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on in Britain. There's Alsa Kib, Gregory, Point Lonsdale, Quickthorn, who won this race before. You go down to Vauban, Night Sparkle, and the improving 3-year-old Align the Stars. I'm looking forward to this race, Graham, because it's not like we've got a Stradivarius necessarily in our mix this year. It looks open enough to me, and I thought Gregory could go well as we pick up his performance at Goodwood.
Yeah, I think this is sort of best of the rest, Lonsdale, because we don't have Kyprios, we don't have Trawlerman, we don't have Sweet William, who seem to be the aces in the pack this year. Here we pick up Kyprios and Sweet William, finishing first and second in the Goodwood Cup. But Gregory was back on form here. He ran horribly in the Gold Cup at Ascot. I don't know what was wrong that day, but this was much more like it from him. And if he replicates that form, he'll go close. We know he goes well at York. He reappeared here with a good run in the Yorkshire Cup. So I think everything's in place for a bold run from Gregory this Friday.
Yeah, he's got stall 1 as well, which will help him position up quite nicely behind what will probably be quite a strong pace. If Quickthorn, Tashcan and Align the Stars all run, I suppose Tashcan might not run if it is still quite quick, the ground. But I think Gregory will go well. And I think, yeah, Ascot Gold Cup, I think it's not necessarily proven yet, but I think the 2.5 miles is too far for Gregory. I think sort of 1 3/4 to 2 miles is ideal. Gets a nice draw here. There's not much between him and Vauban. We'll come to that shortly, but Gregory will definitely run well.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he runs that race at Goodwood at York, he'll win this. Talking of York form, John, and one of the horses who's stepping up in trip, Alsa Kib, off the back of a group success at the track last time, and bids to transition to a 2-miler.
Yeah, well, they ran a strong gallop here as well, and Alsa Kib has come from off the back of the speed to win that. And like I said before, there is at the moment, at the 48-hour stage, quite a lot of pace engaged in this race. Obviously, Quickthorn will go on, Align the Stars as well. So Alsa Kib, if there's going to be a new kid on the block here, or a horse who might just upset the 3 that on rating should be going the best, it could be this fella.
I think he's going to run quite well as well, as we see him hit the line quite strongly over the 2,800 metres. Let's go back to Dubai at the beginning of the year. You could actually say on that very card that Al Nair ran a good race, but in a different contest. Point Lonsdale, Graham, was in the Shima Classic, one of the best turf races, certainly in that region. And I guess he has been a profile of one who's boxed clever at a very high level against some very good middle distance horses. This will be a different test for him.
Yeah, this is a good slot for him, I think. He's up in trip, more of that in a moment. This was early on in the season, a 1.5 mile race rammed with Group 1 performers, Rebels, Romance, Liberty Island, Shariar, etc., etc. So that was a solid effort, and he's maintained a high level since. He bolted up at Chester. Don't forget he had Alsa Kib well behind that day, and he ran really well in Group 1 company in France last time. He is up in distance here, chaps, but as a full brother to Broome, he might well relish the distance.
Yeah, I think there's every chance. He's a 2-time Group 2 winner. He's a 3-time Group 3 winner as well. So he's definitely got the level of form to win this. I think it's a slight question mark about whether you get the trip. I don't think it's an absolute given he will, but it's not a given he won't either. So he's definitely an interesting line in this race. And I haven't got him on top because I'd want the copper bottom stamina here, but he's definitely in there.
John, you mentioned it earlier. We'll be talking about Vauban and Gregory combined. We can do just that, courtesy of York form, the Yorkshire Cup earlier in the season at the opening meeting at York back in May. Vauban finished second, Gregory finished third. They were left in the wake of very classy sort of middle distance Giavolotto, who'd won the race again and seems to be taking his form to a new level this year.
Well, certainly, yeah, on the back of what he did in the July meeting subsequently. So there was no disgrace in this sort of effort from Vauban, which on face value at the time might have been slightly disappointing. But I think this was a good effort. And yeah, on this evidence, there's not much between him and Gregory. Gregory's got a slightly better draw, might get a more economical run round. But I think Vauban, there's still just that hint there might be more to come from him in this particular sphere. So he's going to be my marginal on top selection here.
I think he might have plateaued, Vauban. I was a bit disappointed with him at the Curragh last time. Tower of London was really impressive, but when we picked them up, you can see that I think it's Grosvenor Square went herring off, and he's polished the form since. Vauban tries to go after the tearaway leader, and here comes Tower of London looking every inch a Group 1 horse to mow them all down. But I expected Vauban to hit the line a little harder here, and for that reason, I'll have him on a minor rather than a major line.
Quite a performance from Tower of London, actually, given the way the race went. But yeah, I mean, it was maybe slightly underwhelming stuff from Vauban on that particular occasion. But I'm happy to forgive him that. And as I say, I think it's just tricky. I think it's tricky to choose between the top three. I think probably the best way of playing this race actually is go on the speed map and think that Alsa Kib will run a decent race at a big price.
How does Joe Fanning play it as we talk on, John, about Align the Stars? Because he gave that horse an excellent ride at Goodwood last time against older handicappers. He's up against older horses this time around, but he raises his level now to Group Company. They have long since thought this is potentially a Royal Ascot Gold Hup course for down the line.
Well, yeah, but it's his MO. He goes forward. He likes to race prominently. He's got stall 9 here, so it'd be pointless trying to yank him back in the run. So he's going to go forward. The question is, will he get taken on by Quickthorn, who almost certainly will do so as well, and maybe Tashcan if he's in the race. So it's going to be difficult for Align the Stars. It was a Joe Fanning Tour de Force performance from the front there at Goodwood. It's going to be difficult for him to replicate that at this level, but he deserves his chance.
He's still only rated 102, Align the Stars, Nick, which leaves him with £7, £8, £9, £10 to find with a few of these. And John mentions Quickthorn. He's right to do so. Don't forget, this is the horse that ran away with this race by just the 14 cheeky lengths 2 years ago. Now, a soft lead is unlikely this time around, but it's not that long ago since Quickthorn was also winning the Goodwood Cup, given a pretty easy lead. So he shouldn't be underestimated. He could run a good race back at York.
Okay, right then. All things considered, if we'd have been talking about this race a few years ago, we'd probably just gone Stradivarius wins it. Let's see what's best of the rest. But this time around, Graham, how's your 1, 2, 3, 4 looking?
4, 3, 5, and 2. I think Point Lonsdale has the rating and the potential stamina to go really close. Gregory's back on form now, so he's in a second for me. 5, Quickthorn to bounce back on his return to York, and 2, Alsa Kib. 4, 3, 5, 2, focusing on the older horses.
John?
Yes, you need a rating sort of 110 or above in this race historically, and only a small handful of the horses that run here have done that. I'm going to go with Vauban on top, though, and hope that he can replicate something like the Giavaletto run or Giavolotto run from earlier on in the season here. Gregory in for second. She'll get a nice run round 2 miles. It's definitely his trip, I reckon. Point Lonsdale in for third, but he could well be the best of these even at this trip. And Alsa Kib in for fourth on the proviso, as I say, given the way that the race might pan out, him each way could well be the best way to play this.
Gents, good luck. It's Gregory to win his group race this year for me in the Lonsdale, which you can see as race 2 on Friday. Now, race 3 is the juvenile contest, which really looks to be sizzling on the third day of the meeting. It is the Gimcrack Stakes, the Abbasi Equiworld Dubai Gimcrack Stakes, to give it its full title. 1,200 metres, a Group 2 race. There are 10 declared runners. The straight 1,200 metres will really sort them out. And they're headed up by the long time absent and deceased horse number 1, who was getting ready to Royal Ascot and unfortunately met with a setback. Big Mojo, Glorious Goodwood winner, is number 2. Billboard Stars run to a good level is 3. K-Burn, who won the Super Sprint, is 4. Camilo Pezzano for Aidan O'Brien is 5. You go down to the likes of Shadow of Light, Symbol of Strength, and The Striking Viking. Graham, I'm really looking forward to this race. It would be remiss of us not to bring in a couple of strands from Goodwood and Big Mojo's success at the meeting, which gave leg 1 of the owners the same connections, an incredible double on the week. Big Mojo surprised a few that day. Will he be surprising anyone on Friday?
I don't think it would shock anyone if he were to go close. He was part of a glorious Goodwood for his trainer, Mick Appleby, and he went to Goodwood on the back of just 1 run, finished second that day, and at a big price here, he came with a storming late run. Everyone who's seen him in the paddock is really keen on him as a physical specimen, and I don't think 6 furlongs should be any problem at all. So I don't have him in as the winner, but I do respect him considerably.
Yeah, I've got him in the I've got him in the numbers as well, Nick. I think run style as well. There's loads of pace engaged here. And if he can run a similar sort of race to what he did in the Molecombe, obviously he'll have to, given the extra furlong as well. But if he can just lay off that pace, he'll be coming on very strongly, definitely in the numbers.
So, John, that was one of the feature juvenile races that week, the Molecombe. We can also have a look at the Richmond. You talked about the extra furlong, the extra couple of 100 metres, and that's what that was. Same distance as what they're going to be facing on Friday. Black Fours of the Irish horse won it. He's not there. But the Striking Viking, who finished second, is here, and so is Billboard Star.
Yeah, again, it was all about the pace here. They went a really strong gallop for a long time as well. And the Striking Viking, I thought halfway through this race, as someone who was on, he was getting a nice run because he was just behind that speed. But even just behind that speed was too close to it, because look where the winners come from, still out of shot. So there was no disgrace in losing under these circumstances. He'll run a good race again. I'm slightly concerned about gate 10 in a 10-runner race. That's not an easy place to win the Gimcrack from. Again, he goes in the numbers. But yeah, heartbreak for those who were chinned by Black Force in the final few strides, Graham.
Right. John will like this because I'm going to Godolphin fanboy, and I know every time we do this, he'll always find a way of jabbing me for the boys in blue. Great, we'll have a look at Shadow of Light, who deserves to be talked about, not just because he represents Godolphin. 2 from 2, and he won the same race at Newmarket as Noble Style did before going on to win the Gimcrack. It's a well-trodden path.
Yeah, have a look at the way this horse travels, and you can see that he certainly earned a step up in class. He's a close relation to a Group 1 winner in Earthlight. He's 2 from 2. Harry Bentley was on board here. He tanked his way through the race. Realign didn't help his chance by hanging, as you can see, towards the far side. Open-minded about this horse. I like the way he goes about his job, but he's not been in this deep, nowhere near this deep, so far at least.
It's all about the potential with him. Very well bred, represents big connections. You know I like him though, John. Camille Pissarro behind Babouche last time. That form looks all right in hindsight.
Certainly does. Babouche franked this subsequently by running really well in a Group 1 race afterwards. Look at Camille Pissarro finish off, though, in this contest. This was a really good run. What I like about this horse is he definitely stays a little bit further in a race where they're going to go really, really sharp pace here. I can't believe this is going to be particularly tactical. He finds the line well. He's got a nice draw in stall 1, 2, and I think if you look at sort of previous runnings of Gimcracks, they often, the horses that get involved at the end often come from quite a long way off the pace, and he's going to be one of those on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I like his chances. He blobbed at Royal Ascot, but plenty of really promising horses did that week. He's bounced back with a really good performance last time, and I think in a very tightly knit race, he's going to go close.
Graham, I was lucky enough to speak to Danny Tudhope last Thursday, when plans were being finalised for York, and the first name on his lips was Anderseeds. Don't forget him was effectively the way, because this is the only piece of evidence we've got to see him, because unfortunately he met with an 11th hour setback and didn't run at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, it's about potential and reputation, and I can't quite go for him with any confidence. Have a look at this performance. Horse he beats here at York is well above average. The first 2 come clear, but we haven't seen him since. He missed Royal Ascot, and he didn't win John in a style that made you go, right, ready-made group race winner. What do you think of him?
Well, not yet. I mean, this is a speed figure of 78, which is all right, but it's way below what's normally required to win this. This is usually a strongly run race with a fairly low winning percentage time by York standards. And again, this is going to be the case here too. So Andersight is going to have to improve quite a lot to get involved here. He might, but it's a bit of a speculator.
Okay, another good open race potentially on the day. We'll find out. We've got all different form strands coming to the fore, Graham. How do you evaluate your 1, 2, 3, 4?
We've got 5, 10, 3, 2. 5, Camille Pissarro, for the reasons outlined. 10, the Striking Viking, just has a level of form to take him close. But don't forget that Billboard Star was only just behind him in the heat of a fierce pace at Goodwood. And he could be one to add some value at a big, big price. And Big Mojo for 4th. 5, 10, 3, and 2 for a trappy Gimcrack.
Okay, John?
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm going to go with 5 on top, though, as well. All about the speed map for me. I think Camille Pissarro will get the perfect drag into the race here. So 5 on top, Big Mojo in there for 2nd, 8 Shadow of Light for 3rd, and the Striking Viking in there for 4th.
Well, go on then. He hasn't achieved as much as others, but I'm going to shock John Blance with my selection. It's number 8, Shadow of Light, to win the Gimcrack. Best of luck, whatever you're going for in the best juvenile race of the day. Race 4 York this Friday is the best race of the day. It's the final Group 1 of the whole week. It is the Cornwall Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes, as mentioned, a top-level race. 1,000 metres is the trip. It is going to be absolutely rapid. Blink and you'll miss it stuff. In context, last year, Living the Dream. Well, it was all over in a time of 56.87 seconds. He's back for more, but is he as good? That's going to be a question, or will he have it his own way? We'll see. Right, they're headed up by Bradsell, who won at Royal Ascot last year, back with a win last time and had been off before. Clarendon House, cheap pieces for the first time. Then Living the Dream, Pontos, the Czech Republic. Regional's a good sprinter. Washington Heights is there. Big Evs, Starlust, Asphora, Azure Blue, Believing, Macaro, the So Majestic, and Frost at Dawn, who shattered the clock once or twice at Maiden, but this will be a totally different test for her. The obvious place to begin, Graham Cunningham, is Goodwood, with Big Ed leading home his old foe, Asphora. Believing was there, so too the likes of Starlust and Pontos. It is the key form race of late.
It absolutely is the key galloping clue. It's recent, it's on a fast track over Friday's trip, and let's pick them up one by one. Second from right, Believing, got outpaced on the downhill section. She comes home strongly. It could be a similar case on Friday. Big Evs is right on the speed. He battles on Willie. Key moment here. Asphora comes to challenge. Living the Dream just edges across, checks her slightly. She's gaining all the way to the line. She doesn't quite make it, but she's better off at the weights this time. And significantly, John, her old rival Big Evs is drawn 14 of 14 on Friday.
Yeah, which is not ideal. And of course, Big Evs didn't go particularly well, albeit as a 2-year-old in this race last year. I think we can forgive him that. But yeah. I think just racing common sense here tells you that it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Big Evs to resist the late attentions of Asphora. And I think she's going to turn the tables here.
Market might think so as well. Really interesting to see that it's going to be leg 3 in their particular battle. As you said, Graham, as we go over to John, it wasn't to be for the then 2-year-old Big Evs in this race last year, but it was, John, for Living the Dream, who went off a very big price, jumped out, bullet out of a gun, and off he goes.
Yeah, this is a good example as well, how historically in this race, as it does with a lot of races on the straight course at York, the action tends to take place over on the far side. Living the Dream was all about speed. I thought he'd get reeled in and he didn't. Bradsell was very interesting. Had to start off from a draw towards the near side, gravitated over to the far side of the track, stayed on really well. I think he's got a good chance. He's obviously been off the track and then he's run that listed race in France and won it as he should have done. But I think he's primed to go well on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he might reverse the form with Living the Dream. He ran pretty well at Goodwood, Living the Dream, but he's not quite like the same horse this time around. Bradsell came back from a long break with a dominant win in France, and he's got a lower draw this time.
And after parting the ways, Living the Dream's jockey, Shorty Iran, who won on him last year, is back on again. So we'll be looking to repeat the feat. Right, Starlust, generally speaking, Graham, when going to York's got a very good record indeed.
He has. He's got a real good record. He won a big handicap at York, giving weight to some older horses, and we pick him up here. Democracy Dilemma in the same hay colours, gives him a perfect lead. He pounces late. So York is the key ankle for this fella, John. He didn't run quite to this level at Goodwood last time, but he's back at the track that seems to suit him best.
And gate 7 is all right for him as well. There's going to be plenty of pace on, as we've already talked about. So, if he's a decent price, certainly in the markets here in the UK, probably will be in the World Pool as well. He's one that could go well at the price.
John, we can go back to the early stages of this season, the Dante meeting, and principally the run in the Duke of York, where it was an all-action finish. A Group 1 winner actually won the race in the form of Millstream. It was a tight finish. Washington Heights out of the 3, but not beaten too far. Along with Azure Blue, can either of these or both of these be sporting outsiders come Friday?
Of the two, I'd probably be a bit keener on Washington Heights. Obviously, this form has been polished very well by Millstream, etc. Azure Blue, she's one of those horses, I think she's a bit shy of top class, and it's difficult to place her there because of that. She's got a run style which might help here, but of the two, Washington Heights, albeit back at the trip, I think he can go quite well from gate 10, although he's not quite in my numbers.
Yeah, he's snuck into mine. I think he's quite a live long shot here. He's just got that real brazen speed that can lend itself very well to York. So at a price, I think he might add a bit of value for third or fourth, perhaps.
So, Graham, then let's conclude our thoughts. 2010, Soul Power 100 to 1. Benefit of hindsight, he was pretty good. And Batash a few years ago winning at 2s on. We've had shocks. We've had more like good things as well. I'm interested to see your thoughts in what looks a reasonably well contested running of the Nunthorpe this year.
Yeah, shame on me. I'm leaving Big Evs out of the top 4. Not mad on that draw. 9-1-6-11 or 10-0 won this for Australia just over a decade ago. I think Aspora can repeat the dose. 1 Bradsell ran really well last year. I think he can do the same this time. 6 Washington Heights and 11 Believing Aussie in the Nunthorpe.
Yes, I'm going to go with Aspura on top as well over Bradsell. So Graham and I have gone for the same cue here. Hold the back page. Bradsell will run a good race there into second, but I think the Aussie horse will win. Obviously, we know as well that the Australian sprint form just tends to be better than ours anyway. Big Ev's in for third. I haven't totally lost the faith, but it's a tricky draw, as Graham says. Regional is a very fast horse who's got a nice draw in stall too and has run well here in the past, so wouldn't be totally put off him either. But again, much as it pains me to say it as a cricket man, Aussie.
Aussie. All right, then, just against you, I will go Big Evs. It's a different day, different track, different terms, different draws. Not ideal, albeit. Highfield Princess went out of this draw. He got into an early speed duel with a couple of really fast horses, burnt them off last time. I don't think he has to do it this time, and I don't think he has to win in the same way, but I hope he still will. It's Big Evs for me, number 7 to win the Nunthorpe. Best of luck, whatever you're going for, in the best race of the day. Okay, race 5 as we move on towards the back end of the card at York on Friday. This big World Pool Day is a Fillies handicap, a heritage handicap. It's run over just north of 2,000 metres as well. We'll just show you the runners for it. Sound Angela is number 1. It's got a wide draw for James Doyle and Roger Varian. Further down, Al Anud. She's going to be an interesting runner indeed when we talk about it. Ambiente Amigo. Reach. What a valuable mare she's been, or valuable off such a small transfer fee. And she won this race last year. Canoodled is 9. Invisible Friend is 10. Down to Power of Destiny. Mugi, Zenjabila, and down to the likes of Chorus and Dream Rocker. It is a big field, Graham Cunningham, as we hone in on some glorious Goodwood form and the likely race to Alan Hood.
Yeah, and Power of Destiny. These are 2 key horses here, I think. My contention would be that Alan Hood's definitely useful filly. She's clearly on the upgrade. I thought she got the perfect saloon passage in a pretty steadily run race here. By contrast, Power of Destiny was held up, just had to wait for a little bit of racing room. Then she came home strongly. So as they flash past the line, very little between the pair. It could be similar. But I think Power of Destiny, who is, get this, Sir Michael Stout's first runner of the week in the 5th race on Friday. I think it might be a potent one. Power of Destiny to reverse the form with Alan Hood.
Yeah, there's certainly been a change in the cards. Sorry?
I did see you sort of wince a little bit watching that.
Yes, those of us who were on Power of Destiny, not to a huge extent, but I thought she was a good thing that day. That was not a nice watch because she did get not a particularly good passage through, it's fair to say. I think Alan Hood will still go quite well. There's not a huge amount of pace on in this race, so she might get a softish lead here as well from stall 4. But yeah, I think Power of Destiny can overturn the form. And yeah, changing of the guard, you've got to wait that long for a Sir Michael Stout runner on the Knaves Mire at the Ebor meeting.
Yeah, considering the success he's had done the years. Now, last year, John, I mentioned the fact that Reach won this race. We haven't seen her since mid-June. York is always going to be in the calendar for the connections. You wouldn't get much of a used car for the price that they paid for Reach way back when, 1,500 guineas. It wouldn't drive very well anyway. She's been an outstanding buy. Can she win it again?
Yeah, I've got her on top, stall 1, so she's going to get a nice run round in a race. As I say, there's not going to be a huge amount of pace. Won this last year, 4th of 18 here at the Dante meeting this year, 3rd of 16 as well in a race here at York in the past, and 3rd of 17 as well. Huge percentage of rivals beaten. They've clearly got this or had this race in mind a long time, and they'll be delighted to have bagged stall 1 as well.
I think she's going to go very well. I'm sure they target these kind of races. That's just it. York and York only for them. On the same card, or at the same meeting, Graham, as we saw Reach run last time, Invisible Friend hasn't run since winning that day either. Yeah,
this was a good performance after a lengthy break. I think she'd been off the track for 8 months or thereabouts. So it's the same course, the same distance, different type of race this time, Fillies only, but she's clearly in really good form. So I couldn't have her on a major line, but maybe she could sneak into 4th or 3rd. As you can see, she is very, very well on top of the finish, John.
Yeah, I'm wary of her. I haven't gotten the numbers. Doing all the prep for this, she's ended up all over the place this week. There was barely a race she wasn't entered in. And that's interesting. They've decided to go for this one. Stall 7 should be able to go quite well, but I haven't quite got her in there.
Okay, Graham, you're 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Fillies handicap.
Yeah, Power of Destiny for me. One we haven't mentioned, she's got a really high draw, but number 16, Chorus, is a really well-bred, lightly raced Haggis filly who bolted up last time at Windsor. 10, Invisible Friend, course form, banging form, and of course Reach has to run another good race, even from a slightly higher mark than last year. 11, 16, 10 and 6 in what is a really, really competitive fillies handicap.
John.
Certainly is, but I'm going to go with the old favourite Reach on top. There's a tremendous, as I say, percentage of rivals beaten. If you use that as a metric, you'll not go too far wrong here. Power of Destiny in there for second, dear old Power of Destiny. Battle Queen in there for third. Ran a really good race in the Sandringham in difficult circumstances. Not brilliant at Newbury last time, but I'll give her another chance from a decent draw. And Alanud might get a softish lead again. And if she does, she's difficult to get past, as I know to my cost.
You do. I thought the price is actually Battle Queen. You mentioned a number 15 worth a go at the distance as well. And the way that she was closing at Newbury sticks in my mind, and that Sandringham run was good. Anyway, there are selections and our ideas after race 5 at York. Race number 6 is, well, it's one for the unknown to a degree, given the fact that we haven't got much experience on show, but it's a very famous maiden race, this. It's the Convivial maiden, worth an awful lot of money, £100,000 on offer, 1,400 metres is the trip, and we can show you that course map once again. There you go, 1,400 metres with the little edge to the left. Big field though, so draw could be key. Angelo Buonarroti is horse number 1, costing a load of money, this horse, very well bred. Arabian Angel's got a bit of experience, but then you go down to the likes of Fajan, who hasn't run, neither has Frost Magic. Goal Line's had 1 start, High Season's had 1 start. Further down, Realign we'll be talking about has had a start. A couple of them have had 2 starts, not least Whitechapel Road, horse number 18, and at the bottom, the daughter of Wootton Bassett for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. That is Whirl. Graham, we might have seen the Gimcrack winner already on show in this particular piece of VT. Shadow of Light was the winner at Newmarket. Realign the second goes for the Convivial, and well, I thought ran quite a good race despite greenness this day.
Green as a cabbage. He doesn't just drift left. He hangs quite badly left all the way over to the far rail. By the time he gets straightened up again, Shadow of Light is away and gone. Shadow of Light's probably a pretty good horse. So this was a strong first effort. William Haggis has won this race with Rivet, who went on to win a Group 1. But that greenness is just a slight concern. He shouldn't really have been green. He obviously breezed very well. He cost €550,000 at the breeze up sales. He should go well, but he's not top of the shop for me.
A couple of these have had more than 1 start, John, one of which is the 18, Whitechapel Road. Can experience come to the fore?
Well, I think so. This is the maiden race at Goodwood, of course, the other maiden that we have on the Whirlpool live shows throughout the summer. And this is a race that's often dominated by horses towards the head of affairs, and was here when Jouncy and Carados battled it out. But look at the way this horse finishes. Obviously, York's a bit of a speed track as well, but not maybe as much as Goodwood. And on this evidence, if there's a strong gallop here, which there almost certainly will, I think this fella's going to get involved. And I've actually got him on a top line.
Okay, there's going to be a bit of guesswork, perhaps not so much as Goodwood, or maybe I'm wrong, Graham. How do you see it, the 1, 2, 3, 4?
I think I'm in reasonable shape here. Ultra Soul has lots in his favour here. He's number 17. He's a well-bred son of Kingman. He made his debut coming up strongly for second at Yarmouth in a race that's worked out really well. Shadow of Light was the winner that day. Ultra Soul gave him a bit of a shake at level weights. 1, Angela Buonarroti, is a big, good-looking horse who cost a lot at the breeze-up sales. Significant that he was thrown in deep for the Coventry first time out. He was only beaten 3 lengths. There's clearly an engine in there, and he's gone from 1 Rafa to a Ralpha. He's gone to Rafe Beckett from Raphael Frere. He's got potential. 12 Realign, show plenty of promise first time. 20 Whirl is a well-bred Aidan O'Brien filly who caught the eye first time. I think we got the right core here myself. 17, 1, 12 and 2, and 20.
Rafa, fair enough. There you go. John, what about you?
Well, this is tricky, but I did like Whitechapel Road's run against the grain of that race, and it was a pretty good race because Jouncy's gone on to frank that form pretty well. So Whitechapel Road on top for me. Bowen Island has produced a couple of decent efforts against the clock as well. He might not be as vaunted as 1 or 2 others here, so he'll go quite well. Realign in there for 3rd, Whirl in there for 4th. Obviously, Angelo Buonarroti has to be considered as well. And there'll be 1 or 2 others, I think, who'll go very well, who we've yet to see, and they'll go well on debut. There have been 2 debut winners of this race in its last 10 renewals.
It's been some good horses win it. Should do for the prize money as well. I'm going to go for Real Line to step forward and show a little bit more by way of know-how after that first start. There are thoughts. After race 6, the Convivial Maiden. Last race on Friday, last race of this big World Pool Day, the third day of the Ebor meeting. What a wonderful way to go out with a currently 19 runner, mile handicap, 1,600 metres. So it's going to hold no prisoners, this race. It should be ridiculously competitive. So 1,600 metres is your trip. Just look how track positioning early doors can be key, or ought to be key. Some of those drawn out wide won't necessarily have the most by way of convenient starts. Golden Mind is running for the first time as a 3-year-old, heads them, hasn't been seen in ages. Indian Run won a good race at this last year, this meeting, the Acon. You go down for the likes of Midnight Gun, very well bred horse, Mount Teedy, who's had a good time of things, Blue Prince, Crown Estate, EBT's Guard, Volterra, Treasure Time, doesn't miss too many big mile handicaps at good festivals. Zane Blue, Madame de Sevigny, and Can Do No More. Not for the first time, Graham, I'm going to say, let's go back to Goodwood and hone in on, in particular, EBT's Guard.
It's a frustrating performance from my point of view. I really fancied this horse, but when we revisit this, you'll see that he's struggling to get a run. A couple of different gaps just squeezed him out. He came home powerfully. He ran really well, and he's been running extremely well for a while now. But it was just a bit too little, a bit too late, and the handicapper has said, "Yep, you're still improving. Have another £4." So I'm sure he run well, but this is every bit as tough as the Goodwood race, John.
He's just on that kind of cusp as well, as far as the draw is concerned. Only one horse with a double-figure draw has won this in the last 10 years. Often, or always big fields, actually. He's got gate 11 here. He's sufficiently, I think, well handicapped and in good enough form to still find a posse, given the way the race might map out. I haven't got him on top, but he's definitely in the numbers.
John, let's go back to Goodwood, funnily enough. Blue Prince winning over 1,400 metres from Billy Joe. Billy Joe, who almost won the Stewards Cup later in that particular week. Blue Prince looks to make it successive wins at big festivals.
Yeah, it was interesting, Glorious Goodwood, wasn't it? Because we often rock up there and think of low-drawn horses, but horses that either were drawn high or were drawn quite low, but then came on a sort of high lane, did very well. And Blue Prince has obviously gone on to win well here. He had a good record at Goodwood prior to that. Here at York, though, I bang on about the draw, but there's obviously that tight turn at the top of the track here over the mile. He's got gate 17. That's going to be very difficult for him to overcome, both from a sort of racing common sense perspective and all the records in this race. It's not easy to overcome a wide draw here.
Okay, Graham, let's have a look at the very lightly raced, potentially upwardly mobile still after the stable switch. Midnight Gun at Goodwood, funnily enough. Finishing thirds to Approval, who's about to make that dart for that far side rail, drops back down in trip. If races were handed out on pedigrees alone, this one would win it.
Yeah, superb pedigree, really good looking horse, and back in trip I think is a plus. I thought he ran an excellent race here. He tanked along for a long way. You can't say he didn't stay because he goes down fighting in the end. But I do get the impression that back to a mile is a plus for him. And I like his chances. I think he's a key player for a very hot mile handicap.
Yeah, he's definitely got a solid enough chance. It was a good run given the way the race panned out as well. He's not quite in my numbers, stall 13, but he wouldn't be too far away.
We're going to take a break from Goodwood and go to Newmarket now, John. This horse has been in my tracker. I've been waiting for it to ping up for a while by dint of what he faced and what kind of a race he was in last time. This is Dossman finishing third behind Ombudsman, Arabian Light. You can throw in their First Conquest as well. Just on a line through this race alone makes Dossman quite interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, Ombudsman is now rated 111 and Arabian Light 98, which makes Dossman very well handicapped in this particular spot here. Obviously, there's a lack of experience to worry about in what is a hot race. Stall 2, though, he shook it into a nice position in the run, and they've obviously, I think they're eyeing a big handicap before possibly aiming at better.
Yeah, races don't work out any better than that Newmarket one.
Ridiculous.
The horses in front and behind have polished the form time and time again. So I'm happy to believe that the opening mark for Dossman could be a very, very reasonable one.
I like him very much. We'll revisit Wathman Racing. We'll revisit Goodwood as well, Graham. We've talked about Midnight Gun, one of their performers. They've also got Native Warrior as well, who finished second in the last race of the entire meeting at the Qatar Goodwood Festival.
Yeah, so many horses with pluses about the chance here. Here's another one. He's only 1 from 6. That came at Nottingham, but his last 2 runs have been in really hot races. Third in the Britannia Handicap, one of the hottest races of the season for this brigade. And here a really good performance, just getting run down late on the speed. uncomplicated, bang in form, another to consider.
He's an ideal sort of horse for Hong Kong, really, in terms of getting. Obviously, he's now in the Wathnan stable, and he might not be able to compete with that sort of money. But the type of horse who would go to Hong Kong in the past, and another one who's booked to run a good race. Again, a wide draw, which is slightly problematic, but another horse very much on the up and up.
So, in conclusion, Graham, we're going to go to you for your 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought we could have looked at the likes of a Mount Teedy, a Crown Estate, at the Boris, who's getting better as well. I know you've touched on just how deep you think this race, or how good this race could be. There are any number of leading claimants. How do you whittle it down to 4?
Yeah, 100%. This is a super competitive. The last of 21 World Pool races at York this week. It's really difficult, but a short list of 4, 3, 9, and 16. Midnight Gun on top. Dosman very, very close behind. 9, EBT's Guard. One I haven't mentioned, 16, an improving, progressive, likable horse from Ireland called Tokenomics. But 4 and 3 on top in race 7.
John, for you, for the last.
Well, interesting. Graham mentions Tokenomics. He's going to be my on-top selection. It was a very interesting run at Leopardstown. They crawled early. They've had to sprint home. He sprinted past a lot of them to do it. Obviously, it's going to be a completely different type of race here. But at Dundalk, the time before that, in a strong gallop, he picked his way through nicely as well. Stall 6, he's on the up and up. Billy the Kid locked down aboard. Dossman, I think we're all agreed will run a good race and has got to go in there. EBT's Guard in there for third. And Apiarist, if they go a really strong gallop here, he'll be picking off. He's got a wide gate, but he might just be able to settle off the back of them and pick his way through. So 16, 3, 9 and 14 in what Graham rightly says is a cracking race.
It is. I'm going to go for Dossman, horse number 3, off the back of that excellent bit of form. That was just as good as you'd want to see it at Newmarket in mid-June. Thank you very much indeed to John and to Graham for their time. Thank you for watching, and best of luck on the 3rd and final day of York's World Pool coverage, which is an absolute cracker, featuring the likes of the Nunthorpe. It shouldn't be missed.